news. I see there's a few more students signing on, which is great. Just to give you a heads up, we will be recording this presentation today. We will stop recording at the end so that we can feel free to ask questions and answer them as they come in. But just to let you know, we will begin recording this session. So first of all, I just want to welcome you today to this session. We're excited to be hosting quite a few of our new transfer students that are starting this fall semester at UVM. And we'd love to hear a little more about how you're feeling about this transition to UVM. You can use the QR code in the bottom left of this slide to type in a little bit about how you're feeling. I know we're feeling pretty excited. We just graduated the class of 2025 a couple weeks ago, and we're definitely gearing up to host our new students in just a couple months. But would love for you to take a second while others sign on just to share how you're feeling about attending UVM this fall. Somebody said excited already, so I'm happy to hear that. I think a couple people might have answered excited because it's pretty large here on the screen. So I think one of the goals today for this session is to, continue that excitement, to definitely get you to feel settled with your choice at UVM, to give you a lay of the land of what to expect in terms of registration and our college and the resources and the people that you can utilize for support in this transition. That's definitely a goal for today. So I think what I'll do is I'll move on from this slide because people are telling us they're excited. So I'm hoping they're excited to learn more today. Somebody's answered nervous, which totally makes sense. It's a big transition to move to a new school, and I'm sure some of you might be moving to a different state. Some of you might be coming home to Vermont. So a lot of changes, and just want to reemphasize that we're here to support you in this transition as well. All right, well, thank you for sharing how you're feeling today, and we'll move on to the next slide here, which is essentially our agenda. So as I said, we're really excited for you to join us today to learn more about the College of Agriculture and Life Sciences and what to expect this summer from the academic side of things as you prepare to start at UVM this August. So to introduce myself, my name is Whitney Northrup. I'm the Associate Director of Student Services for the college. I did my undergraduate and my graduate degrees at the university, and I've worked for CALS, which is the College of Agriculture and Life Sciences, for over a decade at this point. So I know firsthand that this is a really special college within the University of Vermont, and I'm very excited for you to be a part of that this fall. I am joined today by other members of our student services team, and so they will be coming on in just a few moments to introduce themselves. We're going to go over a few things that we feel are important for you to know as you transition to UVM. And as I said, we'll be sure to save time at the end to answer any questions that you have. Just a couple housekeeping things for the presentation today. Please keep your microphones muted unless you'd like to ask a question at the end of the presentation. You're welcome to keep your cameras on or off, whatever you feel comfortable. And while I'm speaking today, if you have a question, you can definitely open up the chat function of this Teams meeting and you can type your question in. As I said, we have several members of the student services team that are on the call today, and they can help answer things as they come in real time. If there's anything you'd like me to elaborate on, please feel free to raise your hand, put something in the chat, and I'm happy to pause the presentation to give you a little more information. So as I said, I would love to introduce you to some of our student services team members who are on the call today. So Kaylee, Sean, and Stephanie, if you can please turn your cameras on, I'll move to the next slide and you can introduce yourselves and your role with the team.
Hi everyone, my name is Stephanie McConnell. I use she, her pronouns, and I am a student success advisor here in CALS. So the primary role of student success advisors is to work with our first-time college students who are first years at UVM and help them to do course registration and also just to make sure that they are making progress towards their degrees.
Hi everyone, my name is Sean Levy. I use he, him pronouns. I am the other first year student success advisor, and like Stephanie said, our primary role is to help our first year students and also be guides to resources and help them with any general needs that they have.
Hi everyone, I'm Kaylee Booten, use she, her pronouns. I am our student services specialist. So I run our email, I help with short-term absence verification, block scheduling, major minor changes, CALS scholarships, and many other administrative tasks here in our office.
Thanks, everyone. Not on the call today are two other members of our team. So Kate Finley Woodruff is our Associate Dean of Academic Programs, and then Kate Fitzsimmons is one of our Student Service Specialists for recruitment and retention events. So you'll definitely see them around the office if you stop by. So our entire team is located in Morrill Hall, and Kaylee is going to tell you a little bit more about our services and what we offer at this building.
Yeah, so as Whitney was saying, we're located in Morrill Hall, room 103. We're here Monday through Friday, 8 a.m. to 4:30 p.m. with drop-ins from 9 a.m. to 4 p.m. We also have an email that you guys can contact us at, which is calstudentservices@uvm.edu, or we have our phone number, which is 802-656-2980. And if you're ever just needing to get any questions answered, you can come stop in our office. We are located on the corner of Main Street and University Place. So we're pretty easy to find right behind the Davis Center. And we'd be happy to answer any questions that you have, or if you just want some guidance, feel free to stop in. We're always here.
Thanks, Kaylee. Yeah, and just to clarify a little bit, I will speak in a moment about our advising model within the college. So Stephanie and Sean shared that they are advisors for the first-time first-year students. And in a moment, I'll speak a little more about who your academic advisor will be as a transfer student. But just to reiterate, you can think of Cal Student Services as just a second layer of support for you as you spend time earning your degree at UVM. So you'll of course have your academic advisor who will be the front line for questions regarding course requirements in your major. You'll definitely talk to them about career opportunities and pathways to your ultimate goal after graduation. But we are definitely here to help with any and other question that comes up along the way. So we help a lot with major changes like Kaylee was saying, or if you have little hiccups or issues with registration, you can stop by. And we're definitely also just a hub for student resources. So just wanted to, again, kind of clarify what we do here in student services. So now we will speak a little more specifically about our college. So I'm sure that as you were choosing this institution to transfer to, you learned a lot about the college, and hopefully you were able to attend one of our admitted student visit days. So I think a lot of this information will be refresher, but it's definitely some important stuff that we hope that you know about before you join us in the fall. So this slide shows you our different academic programs in terms of our undergraduate majors and minors. So as of this fall, our college has 15 majors and we have 20 minors. So hopefully you see your major reflected here up on the screen. Our students take a planetary health approach to their studies, recognizing the interconnected health of people, animals, plants, and ecosystems. So our students' studies range from biological and agricultural studies to the social sciences like agroecology and community development. Our students also build public communication skills to promote justice and to drive positive change in our world. You can see there's a lot of overlap between our majors, but we get a lot of questions about public communication specifically and why is that housed in our college. And I think the most important thing to remember is that while we're learning and studying and preparing our students for the future, we also want them to be able to communicate what they're learning to the public. So this goes back to the College of Agriculture and Life Sciences land grant mission, which is a founding principle of UVM and of this college. So we think it's really important for students to be able to communicate out to the public the research that they're doing at UVM and beyond. So although our college doesn't require that you have a minor in order to earn your Bachelor of Science degree, you can definitely choose a minor from our college. So a lot of students will choose that before they graduate. The minor does not have to be within CALS. It can be within any of the other colleges here at UVM. So for instance, we definitely have some animal science students that are interested in, say, animal therapy, and they might minor in psychology, for example, just to give them a little more experience in their studies. If you would like to declare a minor or you would like to change your major, we do have a QR code here on the slide. So if you have any inclinations that you're ready for a change, I would go ahead and submit the form just so that we can make sure that you're connected to the best department contact to discuss registration this summer. So like I said, although we don't require minors, you can definitely declare one. However, we usually recommend waiting till you get a chance to talk with your advisor in the fall. There's definitely no rush to add a minor. Typically, a minor is only 15 or 18 credits, which is about 5 or 6 classes. So if you are a student, only a year into your studies, you definitely have time to add one at any point during your time at UVM. I think Kaylee will also just put a link to the major change form in the chat. So if you're interested in doing that, you'll have a direct link in case you missed the QR code. Just to speak to any undeclared major students who are here on this call today, if you're feeling ready to declare, you can go ahead and do that at any time. Similar with the minor, there's definitely no rush, but we usually recommend that students declare before their sophomore year and no later than the end of your sophomore year. That's just to help ensure that you're making progression towards your degree requirements and that you can graduate in hopefully a timely manner. If you want to talk with somebody this summer because you're kind of at a crossroads between a couple majors, definitely reach out to Kaylee or I in Cal Student Services, and we can help put you in touch with somebody who can help talk about the different majors and the opportunities, and hopefully help you feel confident in making a decision in one or the other. So we did want to let you know about some changes to our agroecology landscape and the environment department. So if you are a student that applied under the agroecology and landscape design major for the fall, the department has undergone some recent changes, and they're now splitting the major into 2 different majors. So one of the majors is agroecology, which provides a strong foundation in the natural sciences with a focus on applying ecological principles to the production of horticulture and agronomic crops. Students gain practical experience through hands-on courses in soils, plant pathology, entomology, and integrated farm management. The second major, which is similar to the landscape design concentration of the former major, is ecological landscape planning and design, which integrates ecological science with landscape design and planning and emphasizes ecosystem-based solutions over engineered ones, preparing students to address climate change through nature-based strategies while developing both scientific knowledge and design skills for managing natural and human-influenced landscapes. So there's definitely overlap between the 2 majors, but hopefully you can see the difference here. And the one thing to keep in mind is if you did come into UVM as an agroecology landscape design major student, you are going to need to choose one of these 2 majors. So if you need more information about the majors, Kaylee, I think, will be able to put the department website in the chat. I definitely encourage you to check it out. You can look at the catalog to understand the differences in all of the major requirements between the 2 majors here. But we will have you declare a major before the fall semester begins. So again, here's the QR code to the change of major form. If you have questions and you're not sure about which major you want to choose, totally fine. We can also help connect you with somebody from the department, likely Dr. Terry Bradshaw, who's the chair. And he can walk you through your options this summer. The other thing with majors, which I'm sure you know from your previous school, is if you commit to a major, it's okay to change in the future. So if you pick something now and you later decide you want to switch, totally fine. But just for this specific department, we are going to have you choose one for fall because the major you applied to no longer exists as of August. Okay, so again, I alluded to the difference in our academic advising model at the beginning of this presentation, but we just wanted to, again, talk about who your advisor is at UVM. So if you are a transfer student, so anybody on this call today, you will be advised by an advisor, a faculty advisor from your major department, unless you are an undeclared student. If you're an undeclared student, you're going to stay within our office with either Sean or Stephanie until you make that decision to declare. So at this point, some of your advisors have already been assigned, and some of the departments are still working on those assignments. If you have an advisor already, you can find their information in Navigate. All of our faculty kind of schedule appointments in the different ways that work for them personally. So I recommend that you reach out to them directly as we get closer to the fall semester to talk about how you can connect with them once they're back on campus. The tricky thing with faculty, as it probably was similar at your previous school, is that most of them are off contract until mid-August. So the person that you meet with this summer, who likely will be the chair of your department, might not be your advisor for August. But we can definitely guarantee that by mid-August, you will definitely have your faculty advisor assigned to you. That being said, if questions come up over the summer, you can reach out to us in Cal Student Services and we can help answer those questions, or we can help put you in touch with a liaison from the department.
So we know that it is a really big transition coming to UVM, transferring from your previous institution. So we did put together just a few tips that we want you to know that will hopefully be helpful to make your successful transition into UVM. So starting off with our technology requirement, UVM does require that all students have a laptop that meets minimum specifications. So if you have a Chromebook or a tablet or an iPad, those are not recommended as your primary computing device just because those do not meet the minimum specifications. But there are some computer labs across UVM's campus so that you can access a computer if you don't have one already. And then, as you all know, planning ahead is really helpful as a college student and can really set you up for success. So just knowing that the final exam schedule for fall 2025 has already been posted by the registrar's office. So you can type that link into your browser if you want to take a look at that, but we'll also talk about it a little bit later on in this presentation. Then just a few more things we think that you should know. Speaking of planning ahead, we do recommend that you review your syllabi during the first week of your classes. The syllabus, as you probably know, is going to include those important due dates to be aware of and policies that are unique to each course that you're taking here at UVM. We do also hope that you have a happy and healthy semester here, but sometimes things do come up. So if something comes up where you have to miss class, just be sure to take a look at those syllabi for each of your courses about info as to how you have your instructors handling those absences. In some cases, you might need to reach out to us here in Cal Student Services for help. So we are here to help you navigate any extended absences you may have. And then hopefully at this point, you have all gotten a chance to log into your UVM email and become familiar with that. You might want to add that email to your phone. You can download the Outlook app and add that, just so that you get in the habit of checking that email often. That UVM email address, as it was probably similar at your previous institution, will be the main point of contact that all of your professors and us here in Cal Student Services will use to communicate with you.
Thanks, Stephanie. So speaking of applications, hopefully some of you have checked out the Navigate 360 student application that UVM utilizes. Definitely something that is handy to download before you start in the fall semester. So the Navigate app you can kind of think of as your own little personal helping tool at UVM. It can help you explore majors and careers. It can direct you to different resources. You can schedule tutoring through Navigate. You can get reminders about deadlines. You can create tasks for yourself. This application also has the option to opt into study buddies, which is a way that you can officially form study groups in the classes that you're enrolled in. You can also use appointment summaries. So if your advisor uses Navigate, they'll type up appointment summaries when you meet with them. And if you need to remember something about they recommended this class over this class, or you talked about study abroad and you mapped out your next 3 years, they'll make note of that in Navigate and you can reflect back on it for your own use. It's easy to download. It's something you can get from the App Store on your Google or Apple phone really easily. and you just log in with your UVM NetID and password. So we use this app to schedule appointments and student services. Your advisor might use Navigate to schedule appointments, but as I said earlier, it's best to just check with them directly because some faculty will schedule through Outlook or other ways.
Right, so check it out. This is a non-exhaustive list of the many resources we have on campus here at UVM. In August, when you attend orientation, you're going to get a lot more information about these services, student accessibility services, student health services, counseling and psychiatry, tutoring center, writing center, Mosaic Center for Students of Color, PRISM, Interfaith, Women and Gender Equity Center. There's tons more. You'll get more information, like I said, in August. One I would like to specifically highlight, I'm going to put more information about it in the chat, is student accessibility services. If you're coming from an institution where you've got accommodations and you want those to carry over into UVM as best as we can, you would want to contact student accessibility services, especially their getting started form, which is linked in chat. The sooner you do that, the sooner they can connect with you and get you the accommodations that you need. On the right side of this slide are just some of the events that these resources hold. There's the Wednesday write-in, breakfast with Mosaic Center. They host a community breakfast, which is super cool. The list goes on, and you'll get more information, like I said, in August. And on top of that, there are over 250 student-led organizations and clubs on campus. There are so many ways to get involved. There's just a small list of ones that Cal's students prefer. We are also the first, I believe, beekeeping and bee accredited campus in the United States, which is pretty cool. There are tons of organizations and clubs, and if you don't see one that you like, you can always start one. It's very student-led and student-forward, so plenty of opportunities for you.
With how much that you will hopefully be getting involved here on campus, I am sure that your first semester here is going to absolutely fly by. So thinking about planning ahead, we did just want to let you know some of the major dates that are coming up during the fall 2025 semester. So August 25th is going to be that first day of classes here at UVM. And then the add drop period will be August 25th through September 8th. That's going to be that little bit of breathing room to adjust to your schedule, see if there are any courses you might want to add onto your schedule or maybe drop from that schedule during that time. If for some reason after that September 8th day you do need to withdraw from a course for any reason, October 27th is going to be that final withdrawal deadline. And then before you actually head home for Thanksgiving break from November 24th to the 28th, you will meet with your advisor to discuss your spring course schedule, think about what courses you might want to take to make progress towards your degree. And then the last day of classes will be on December 5th. Then after that, you will spend that following week of December 8th through the 12th taking those final exams and doing any projects that you may have to finish out before you head home for winter break.
Thanks, Stephanie. It is amazing to think that just in a few short months we'll be at the end of the semester. So now we'll speak a little bit about AP and transfer credit. And I think Sean is going to take this slide, but I first just wanted to say that we're definitely going to have time at the end of the presentation for questions. And I'm sure that there will be some questions about transfer credit. So definitely hold tight and we will open up the mics for questions.
Cool. So for credits coming from other institutions, it is very likely UVM already has these credits, has evaluated them, and they'll be reflected on your transcript. When you meet with your advisor, you'll review how your transfer credits transferred in, what they cover, how they apply to your major and your degree. If you've freshly taken any AP or IB exams this year, your scores will be sent to UVM later in July. I believe most, if not all, courses that would apply with AP or IB credits, you need at least a 5 on those exams for those to count for college credit. So if you think you did really, really well, just sit tight and we'll know, we will, as an institution, will know in July.
Thanks, Sean. So now we'll move on to talking about registering for classes, which I'm sure a lot of you are very interested in today. So as I mentioned, this summer you will be meeting with a representative from your department. So it might not necessarily be the academic advisor that you're assigned in August, but it probably will be the chair of the department who is on contract throughout the summer months. Some of you might have already had that appointment and you might be all set with classes, and some of you will have kind of ongoing registration appointments throughout the summer. So if you haven't yet met with an advisor, I would definitely encourage you to check your UVM email for more information. If you haven't heard from a department representative about scheduling an appointment, Kaylee can definitely help connect you with the chair to nail down an appointment to get those course registration questions answered. But essentially, when you meet with one of those faculty representatives, what you'll want to do is review all of your transfer credit. So they will have access to your transfer equivalency worksheet, which is also something that you have access to in MyUVM. They're also going to want you to look at your degree audit, which I'll speak about in a minute, to look at where classes place and where they transfer in terms of your new degree requirements here at UVM. And then you'll want to talk about what classes should you be taking in the fall. So if you're moving into a new major from your previous institution, that might mean starting with some of the intro foundation courses. Or if you're staying consistent, they might, look at your transcript, be able to grant some exceptions, and you might start taking some of the 2000 or intermediate level courses for your major. So at the University of Vermont, to be considered full-time, you need to be enrolled in 12 credits. So if you have financial aid or scholarships or other requirements that mandate you be full-time, 12 is the minimum. The maximum is actually 19 credits per semester at UVM. There could occasionally in the future be an opportunity or a situation where you might need to take, say, 20 credits if you're trying to graduate on time, or maybe you're TAing or doing an internship one semester. It is possible to take a little over 19, and that's something you'll want to discuss with your advisor. But generally, students take an average of 15 credits a semester, which will help them graduate in a timely manner. So typically that's 4 years, right? 8 semesters. Your time might look a little different at UVM as a transfer student. So we're going to aim for 12 to 15, especially for your first semester as you transition. I definitely wouldn't put pressure on yourself to overload your schedule and take 17 to 19 credits. I think as we've shown, there's so many ways to get involved at UVM, and it is a big transition to switch schools that I think 15 or so credits feels a little more comfortable from my perspective. So as a reminder, UVM registration is currently closed and will reopen next Monday. So registration has been on pause for a few weeks as we kind of block schedule or assign classes to our new first-time first-year students. But as of Monday, that registration is going to open. So if you haven't met with your advisor, this week would be a great time to connect. And as I said, you can email Cal Student Services and we can help point you in the right direction. So, how to prepare for your course registration appointment. If somebody else was going to take this slide, feel free to chime in, but I think my notes might be out of order. Otherwise, I'll continue here. But essentially, what you'll want to do in preparation for that appointment is you initially first want to review the schedule of courses. So the SOC, or the schedule of courses, is the screenshot here on this page. This is basically the course catalog of all offerings for classes at UVM for the upcoming semester. What's cool about this tool is you can kind of narrow down your search by subject. So if you know what classes you need to take, it's going to be really easy to find chemistry. But if you're also looking for, say, a Catamount core class, which is what we call our general education requirements, if we were to scroll down this page, there is the option for you to look at all of the Catamount core classes that are offered and narrow it down by specific requirement. You can also use this search tool to say, find a class that you're interested in. So maybe you're looking at classes in wildlife and fisheries biology. You can search that keyword as well. Lastly, I just wanted to point out that you are able to search by the instruction method. So if you were a student that was looking to add like one online class to your schedule, because that's what worked for your work schedule or something like that, you can search here for exclusively online or hybrid or in-person classes. I will say generally at UVM, especially during the fall and the spring semesters, our classes are mostly in person. It is going to be easier for you to find online classes over the summer or winter sessions. So the second thing you'll want to do in preparation for your appointment is to review your degree audit. So you might have had this tool at your last school, but it's basically a way to track all of your requirements for you specifically as an individual student with a specific major, a specific minor. I will move slides to give you a little bit of a snapshot of what the degree audit looks like. So the degree audit is currently being updated for the upcoming academic year. So with all of our catalog changes that happened for the 25-26 year, the Transfer Affairs Office is working on coding these audits. So if you go to log into your audit, which is accessible through MyUVM, you'll notice it says it's not available. Luckily, there is kind of a workaround to this as we wait for the updates. The workaround is using something called a what if analysis. So you can look at what if I was last year's catalog year for my major. This will be helpful in terms of viewing, I think, your requirements at a glance, but you'll definitely want to meet with an academic department contact to talk more specifically, especially in case any program requirements have changed. But if you're looking at the degree audit or the what if analysis, you'll still be able to see what classes you've transferred to UVM, what they're counting as. You can see all of your requirements spelled out, including the general education requirement, which, as I said, is called the Catamount Core. So this is something you'll definitely review when you meet for your course registration appointment. But I definitely encourage you to see if you can access it, to play around with the what if analysis, and to also reflect back on the catalog page for your major. So the catalog will also list everything that's required of you as a specific major for the upcoming academic year. So we are at the end of our official presentation, but we did want to let you know that we're very much looking forward to seeing you on Friday, August 22nd for the orientation new student welcome at the Miller Farm. The Miller Farm is a farm that's about a mile from the center of campus. So we're going to bus you down to take a look at all of our clubs and our departments. We might even have a baby calf there, as you can see from the screen. We'll definitely do barn tours if the weather cooperates, and there'll be lots of freebies for you to get as well. So we look forward to seeing you as part of that orientation event. And I would encourage you to follow us on Instagram. So our handle is UVM_Cals. Definitely you can see some updates throughout the summer. And I think what I'll do now, Kaylee, is if you want to stop recording, we can move on to just the questions portion of this presentation. So